Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on The Flash Season 8. And this is going to be my trailer breakdown for episode 16 for this season, otherwise entitled The Curious Case of Bartholomew Allen. But of course, before we get into anything else, let's actually watch that trailer.
Enjoy what time you have left, Flash.
Every cell in your body has deteriorated. You've aged 30 years overnight.
What if he uses this device on someone else?
And what if you die of old age before you can stop it?
I'm fine.
So last episode was a very interesting episode because it was meant to be like the first of these interlude episodes, but then Eric Wallace has come out pretty much straight after that episode aired and said that episode's very important for the finale for this season. So is it an interlude? I guess it is, because it's not, I guess the story from it isn't carrying on directly into this week's episode. It's weird because they're not filler. They're just separate. It's a weird way to put it, these episodes. So this week's episode is meant to be another of these interlude episodes. But once again, I don't know if it's just on its own and that's it. It doesn't connect to anything, or if it will connect to something, just not next week's episode or the episode after it, might I say. So it's a bit of a confusing one. But anyway, in last week's episode, or the most recent episode, episode 15, we went into the still force. Barry was taken in there by Dion. Dion sort of stabs him in the back and leaves him in there to just wither away. I don't even know how you'd put it. But luckily, Nora West Allen comes in via Dion. So it's like Dion helping Barry, but then also leaving her in there as well. It's a bit of a confusing one. It'll be interesting to see Barry and Dion's next interaction and see what they say to each other. But Barry and Nora are able to work together to get out of the still force without being able to find Iris. But Barry was able to sense that Iris was okay. So that, puts his stress down a bit. He doesn't have to worry too much. But they still have to get Iris out, but it's not like, a race against the clock, if you want to put it. Now, of course, there was some cool references to the future, like stuff that we do with Nora and Bart, and also we got a Max Mercury, or half of a Max Mercury name drop. They just said Max, but who else are they referring to? Of course, it's going to be Max Mercury. So, of course, I'm going to be curious to see where that plays out. But pretty much the end of the episode was just stuff to do with Caitlin and Shieldblade and some of the Frost stuff. I have no idea if it carries on to this week's episode. It might. The trailer doesn't really show much outside of the main thing, so that will be a wait and see when we actually start watching this episode. But of course, before we get into the actual breakdown of the trailer, we will quickly read out the synopsis or description for the episode. It's pretty simple. It's just one sentence, but it's still synopsis and worth reading out. But of course, throughout the video, be sure to let me know in the comment section down below your various opinions, theories, predictions, expectations. Are you looking forward to this episode? Always curious to hear what you guys are thinking. And of course, if you're going to enjoy the video, I want to show you support, you're looking forward to this episode, why not drop a like on the video to show all that? The Flash gets blasted with a shockwave, forcing his body to age prematurely. So yeah, interesting synopsis, and that's pretty much what the trailer highlights. But this episode was actually directed by Katie Lotz, who of course played in the past sense, Sarah Lance on Legends of Tomorrow, so a bit of a mini Arrowverse crossover there. Don't expect her in the episode. She just directed it. Now, before we jump into the actual breakdown quickly, I think we have a break after this episode. So this episode, I'm pretty sure, is airing in less than a week from now. But after it, we go on a 1 week break, and then we come back with episode 17. I think that's how it's working out. But then there's no more breaks for the season, I'm pretty sure. So we have one more break, I'm pretty sure, after this episode airs, and then we pretty much go until the end of the season. So yeah, it sucks we don't have the Flash for a week, but at least it's not like Superman and Lois where they're on, breaks more often than they are actually airing the actual episodes. Now, of course, this episode is a play on the Curious Case of Benjamin Button, but sort of like the other way around, I guess. In the movie, it's a man who was born looking old, so he comes out looking like an old man and gets younger as he gets older. So this stuff in this episode is just that Barry ages quick, but I guess it's still a curious case, and it earns the title of the episode, I guess. Now, we have this dude here, who I guess is going to be the antagonist for the episode and does whatever happens to Barry. Now, I thought this dude was the guy who messed with Allegra's cousin last season. I'll just put him on screen right now. His name was Dr. Olson, but I looked it up and like they sort of look similar, but it's not the same person. Well, at least it's not the same actor. You never know. Maybe it's meant to be the same character and they couldn't get the actor back or something, but I don't think it's meant to be the same person, but he seems to drain Barry's energy, as in like I guess through like his age and his whatever it might be, and through his cells, as it does say energy consumption complete on like this wristwatch here. But you can see the device here, which I guess lets off this shockwave that's mentioned in the synopsis. I don't know if it's anything we've seen before. And I guess one of the things I'm curious about, based off something that happened last episode, is this something that was like was this guy here that we saw? Is he the one that made the device based off stuff he got from Chester's computer? Because obviously last episode when Chester left his like office area thing, we saw someone sort of like hack into his computer and download all his files. Was it this guy? Was this the guy that did it? And that's how he built this thing. Maybe there was some connections to the Flash in those files as well. So he knew exactly how it would affect the Flash directly. Maybe. I'm not too sure. And I guess also because we see this guy here, he's obviously an older gentleman. I wonder if he's taking the energy so he doesn't age, or maybe he gets younger, or maybe it's for some other specific reason. I'm sure we'll find out pretty early into the episode whatever his plan and, motivations and goals are. Now, of course, we know that Barry ages slower. So though his cells are deteriorating, might I say, he's going to age slower and he's going to be able to hold off, for much longer than a normal person. Like his age is slower, like Jay Garrick. So it's, going to take longer to look a certain age. So he might age 20 years, but he's only going to get some like gray hair on the sides like we see in the trailer. Like he's got some Reed Richards style going on. Now, one thing I'm curious about, and I talked about this in a previous video where I think we brought up the synopsis, is that I'm wondering if they'll do like an old man Barry from the comics towards the end, like a bit of an Easter egg there. That might be a bit hard just because of, I guess you just put makeup on Grant Gustin. I mean, they did the same thing with Stephen Amell when he played the old man Oliver. So I guess they could do the exact same thing here with Barry, like just put some wrinkles on and like obviously like some really gray hair or really like whatever color hair they want to put on. I'd really like it if we had that, especially if he was in the Flash suit at the same time, because it would be like an old man Flash sort of thing. I think that'd be pretty cool and like a nice Easter egg. But I'm expecting this episode to have some comedy chucked in with the old age kicking in. Like we see Barry with like a sore back and trying to run away and obviously maybe not being able to, stay upright because of his old age or something like that. But I'm just expecting this episode to be a fun one. But I'm also curious to see if it's relevant to anything else, or it's just relevant to itself, like just a self-contained episode with, relating to nothing else. That's a wait and find out. But apparently, Joe has a big character mode in this episode, and it's revolved around the Iris stuff, because I guess they still have to keep what's happening with Iris, looped through the episodes or weaved through the episodes. But it can't always be with Barry, because Barry's got to focus on other stuff as the Flash, like we're seeing with what's going on in this episode with him. So I think they're going to use Joe, and I think he's going to have like a very emotional episode revolving around everything that's going on with Iris. I'm not too sure exactly what specifically it is. It's just something that was teased by Eric Wallace, the showrunner. So even though it's not in the trailer, there is some stuff with Joe going on this episode as well. And obviously another thing that led from last episode potentially into this one is whatever's going on with Caitlin and that plan for Frost. As I've already said, I've put my money down on we're not going to get Frost back, at least how we knew her. And I think that's why they're involving Chillblaine, and then what he said last episode, where he only agreed to help Caitlin under one condition, and that's that, they succeed in what they're doing. They don't fail. And I think in Caitlin's eyes, she's going to succeed because she's going to bring Frost back. But she's going to fail in regards to it not being the same Frost that left, because that was the Frost that Chillblaine knew and, let's be honest, probably loved and, wanted to move forward in his life with. But that's not going to be the Frost that comes back. So I think that's going to be the consequences that play out maybe next season, or maybe it's something that goes wrong before the end of this season that then leads into season 9. I think I said this in another video that Daniel Panabaker, who plays Caitlin, and I guess also Frost, said that by the end of this season, you know exactly where Caitlin's going as a character into season 9. So maybe it's whatever plays out from this storyline and potentially what goes wrong. But yeah, this episode just looks like it's going to be a fun one. I'm actually looking forward to it just because it looks like it's going to be I guess the title says it. It's the curious case of Bartholomew Allen, and I'm curious to see how it plays out. It could also be like a Enter Flash time thing, like a race against the clock. And I guess it matters how Barry potentially uses these powers, because I don't know if maybe using his powers makes him age even quicker because he's using like his own energy, and he had just had his energy drained. So maybe he has to limit how much he uses his powers, or at least to what extent, or like how, like to what power level, if that makes sense. Sort of like when he was losing his speed. Remember, he could only use it for so much before he had to stop. Maybe it's similar to that. But yeah, there's no promo images out as of this point, unfortunately. I don't know if they'd reveal much, just because it is a bit of a fun episode, so it's not like that'd be too much to spoil. So they probably wouldn't have been worth going over anyway. But yeah, we don't have any promo images to go over as of now. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, it'd be awesome if you could drop a like on it to show support. Let me know in the comment section down below your various opinions on everything we went over. I'm always curious to read what you're thinking and what you're looking forward to in this episode. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. And yeah, I'll catch you later. And goodbye.